What happens when the woman they booked to be the bad guy decides she's done holding her tongue for a room that wants her to crack? The lights on the view felt too bright that morning, warm enough to look friendly, sharp enough to show every grin for what it really was. Pam Bondi sat at the far end of the table, her hands folded, her smile polite but thin, the same look she'd worn through 100 interviews with people who called her worse names than they'd ever say to each other's faces. Joy Behar flipped her cue cards like they were weapons. The first few questions were predictable, sound bites about loyalty, a wink at controversy, laughter that didn't reach the eyes of the audience who'd come hoping for a mess. And somewhere behind the applause sign that blinked above the stage, the hush knew. The real mess hadn't started yet. Joy Behar leaned forward, her grin stretched tight enough to look friendly but sharp enough to cut. She tapped her mug twice, the echo landing just as heavy as her next line. Pam, you're good at spinning, I'll give you that. You show up, smile, and defend things nobody else will touch. How do you sleep at night knowing you've stood by so many people everyone else ran from? A few polite giggles scattered through the audience, but they died quick, the hush creeping back in when Pam didn't flinch. She tilted her head just slightly, her voice calm but cold at the edges. It's funny, Joy. You've made a living calling out other people's spin, but what you do isn't so different. You just do it with cue cards instead of facts. Joy barked out a brittle laugh, trying to play it off. Oh, so I'm the villain now? I'm the big bad spin machine. Pam leaned in, elbows resting on the table, her eyes locked dead on Joy's. You don't have to spin it, Joy. You're better at baiting people than telling the truth. A ripple of rolled through the front row. Sunny Hostin looked down at her notes, her lips pressed tight. The hush snapped close again, the kind that says the next word won't come from the script the producers handed out that morning. Joy Behar's grin slipped for the briefest moment, a flicker of something brittle behind the practiced smirk she wore like armor. She forced out a chuckle, waving her cue card like it might swat Pam's calm out of the air. Oh please, Pam, don't pretend you're some truth teller. You've been defending the indefensible for years. People want to know how you look in the mirror. Pam Bondi didn't move. Her fingers rested lightly on the edge of the table, her eyes locked on Joy like the lights and cameras didn't even exist. I look in the mirror just fine. Maybe that's what bothers you. You can't stand when someone won't flinch for your audience. The hush pressed in tighter. Whoopi shifted in her chair, but she didn't jump in. Sunny Hostin's pen tapped once, then stilled. Joy leaned closer, her voice dropping into that fake warmth that always lands like a slap. Come on, Pam. People see you for what you are, a mouthpiece for men who can't defend themselves. You're just here to spin your way back into relevance. Pam's jaw tensed, but her tone stayed even, every word landing harder because she didn't raise it. You want me to break so you can clip it for clicks? That's your game. It's not mine. A single gasp from the back row cut through the hush. The moment everyone knew the line Joy wanted so badly was about to turn back on her. Joy Behar's eyes narrowed, her grin gone now, replaced by that sharp, clipped tone she used when she wanted the audience firmly on her side. She leaned forward, tapping her finger on the table like a judge about to hand down a verdict. So you're saying you're honest? Pam Bondi, the truth teller? That's rich. People know you'll say anything for the right people, until they throw you out too. A ripple of uneasy laughter flickered through the audience, but died almost as quickly as it came. Pam didn't blink. She sat perfectly still, the hush bending around her calm like armor. Don't you dare pretend you care about the truth, Joy. You want a villain at this table because you know it makes you look like the hero. But you can't call yourself brave when your questions only go one way. Sunny Hostin looked away, her hand covering her mouth like she was holding in words she wouldn't dare say out loud. Whoopi's eyes drifted toward the floor, her hands folded tight in her lap. Joy scoffed, her words dripping with disdain. So now you're the victim? The poor, misunderstood spin queen? Give me a break. Pam's lips curved, but there was no smile in it, just the cold truth. No, I'm the guest you thought you could break for your applause sign. But I'm not here to give you your moment, Joy. Not this time. The hush snapped tight, the crowd holding its breath, waiting to see who would flinch next. Joy Behar's fingers drummed so hard on her mug now that the soft thud echoed louder than the forced giggles she kept throwing at the audience. But they weren't biting, not this time. The hush had turned heavy, the kind that made every word feel like it might split the table in two. She leaned forward, her voice dripping that fake calm that always came before the jab. "So what do you want, Pam? A pity party? You think people out there believe you're just some poor guest getting bullied?" Pam Bondi didn't lean back. She didn't shift. Her eyes stayed locked on Joy like she'd waited her whole life to say what came next. "No, Joy. I think people out there are tired of shows like this pretending to be honest when all you really want is someone to tear apart for claps. You don't debate. You bait." A low rolled through the front row, the kind that doesn't break the hush, just tightens it. Sunny Hostin's pen hovered over her notepad, but she didn't write a word. Joy's grin twitched. "You're calling me fake? That's rich coming from you." Pam's tone dropped, calm as a blade. "I'd rather be called fake by you than sit here and pretend your outrage is real. You want spin, Joy? Look in the mirror. You're the best spin machine daytime TV ever had." A gasp snapped from the back row, phones lifted just high enough to catch every unedited word. And in that thick, unmoving silence, everyone knew Pam Bondi wasn't finished. Joy Behar's laugh came out sharp and empty, a sound that bounced off the studio walls but landed nowhere. She glanced down the table, searching Whoopi's face for backup, but Whoopi stayed silent, her hands folded, her eyes fixed on the floor like she wanted no part of the fire burning 2 seats away. Joy sneered, her tone icy. "So what now, Pam? You gonna play the hero? Walk off and make yourself look brave for your people?" Pam Bondi tilted her head, her hands folded loosely in her lap. The calm in her voice made the hush lean closer. "No, Joy. I'm going to remind you that this table isn't yours to poison with cheap shots and fake outrage. You don't get to twist my name for applause and then hide behind a cue card when I push back." A low hum rolled through the audience. Not laughter, not jeers, just that quiet, pulsing that says the truth just landed where the script can't touch it. Joy tried to spin it back, her voice cracking around the edges. "This is my show. I ask the questions. If you can't handle it, maybe you don't belong here." Pam's eyes locked on hers, unblinking. "You're right. I don't. Not if sitting here means nodding while you pretend your insults are journalism." Joy's mouth opened, but the hush swallowed her next word whole. The table felt too small now, the cameras too close. And in that silence, Pam Bondi's next move felt bigger than any spin Joy Behar had left to sell. Pam Bondi sat still for a single breath, letting the hush hang thick enough that even the lights overhead seemed to dim under the weight of her calm. She pushed her chair back, the quiet scrape echoing louder than Joy Behar's next insult could ever hope to land. Joy's fingers tapped her mug in a frantic beat now, her eyes darting to the producers just off stage. But nobody moved. Nobody cut to break. The audience sat frozen, phones lifted, catching every second that no edit could soften. Joy tried one last swing, her voice sharp but brittle. "So that's it. You're walking out because you can't take the heat." Pam's eyes softened. Not kind, not cruel, just steady. "No, Joy. I'm leaving because some conversations aren't worth pretending are real. You want someone to break for you? Find another guest." A ripple of soft claps started from the back, hesitant at first, then firmer, honest in a way the applause sign couldn't fake. Sunny Hostin lowered her head, the faintest trace of a smirk tugging at the corner of her mouth. Whoopi stayed silent, her hands folded tighter than ever. Pam stood, her voice gentle as she looked right at the camera. "Spin only works when people stay quiet. Maybe the people at home should remember they don't have to." She turned, stepping off the stage without waiting for Joy's comeback that never came. And when the clips spread everywhere, it wasn't the insult that stuck. It was the line that rang out in every comment thread. "Some conversations aren't worth pretending are real." And for once, the View couldn't spin its way out of it.